without any further ado, let's start exploring the fascinating subject of personal branding. During this 45-minute session, we will be looking at 3 questions related to personal branding. What is personal brand and why is it important? Then we will look at what is your personal brand today and, more importantly, how to manage your brand perception. As mentioned at the beginning, this is not a lecture, so if you have any questions, please type in the chat and Ross will help us to exchange. So let's make it as fun as possible. Question number 1, what is a personal brand and why is it important? Let's take a look at the following pictures. I was planning to have a more interaction session, but noticed the setup. I guess I would just talk through. So all the people on the slide, you can see that they come from all the way back into 49 BC, all the way to the modern world. And they are in their different areas. And then the one to the right, very left-hand side is Julius Caesar. And he played a very critical role in the events that led to the demise of the Roman Republic. And then all the way down to the far left-hand side. And then you have Kim, very famous. Everybody knows about their TV shows. And also you have a very controversial figure as Elon Musk. He created a lot of big brands and Tesla, and I'm pretty sure that nowadays, I don't know how many of you are aware, he was actually one of the co-founders in 2015, created OpenAI. And then which is today the one that is driving ChatGPT. I don't know whether you have used it, but it's a very hot topic. So with all those people, they live in different times and then they do different things, but they do have one commonality, and that is whether you like them, dislike them, idolize them, hate them, it doesn't really matter. You simply can't ignore them due to their strong personal brands. Jeff Bezos said, your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. Well, today I would say even you are not in the room, you can always check Twitter, Facebook or Instagram. And then Snapchat could also be a very good interest if the younger generation allows him to do it, having him connected. But what he said still stands valid. That means your personal brand is how the world perceives you. And that perception is formed by how you present yourself, your appearances, your words, but most of all, your deeds. Other people's perceptions is the reality you are living in. Whether it reflects truly who you are or not, it doesn't matter. Therefore, to align that perception of other people as much as possible with the true you will bring the maximum benefits to your personal happiness. Another fact about personal branding is, as Warren Buffett put it takes 20 years to build a reputation, but only 5 minutes to ruin it. With the viral development of social media and the smartphones, and think about how many heroes and angels have fallen in the past 5 years just because they happened to send one wrong tweet. So the path to eternal destruction has become ever so easy and quick that a blink of an eye is not a metaphor anymore. As he said, before one tries to build an artificial facade, something that is not you, we might want to think about how long we can keep that pretension going. Therefore, think about whether we want to do things differently, because the only way to keep the mask on forever is actually not to wear it at all. So here are some more thoughts on why your brand perception is important. It is important because people look at your traits, capabilities, the way you work, and many other things from the first moment they meet you, and sometimes even before they meet you, and this continues. And also, impressions, they just happen, good or bad, whether you want it or not. You cannot really control how those impressions are formed in other people's head. Since Hogwarts still has the strict rules on performing spells and magic outside the school, particularly on muggles, so mind controlling is out of the window. We can't think about it. Therefore, the only thing we can work on is to actually improve your own control over the knowledge on how impressions are formed and your self-awareness of your personal brand. In other words, how people see you will help you to align these two concepts as close as possible. Remember, perception is reality, but it's not always the truth. The better you can project a more truthful image of yourself to others, the higher chance you will have to bring reality and the truth together. A positive personal brand will open up more opportunities that you might not know even existed. For example, I worked on another STEM event a little while ago, and I must have made a positive impression on one of the organizers about my skills regarding helping people. And because of that, I keep receiving requests to host, speaking sessions. And that is also why today I'm giving this a great opportunity to meet all of you and sharing this precious 45 minutes. So now we have understood why personal brand is important. Then the question is, how do I know what is my brand today? As we mentioned before, personal branding is twofold: what you think about yourself and what other people's impressions of you. So for your own perception, no one knows you better than you. As for other people's perception, I guess the best way to know is, well, just simply ask. Therefore, performing a brand audit could be quite a useful exercise. Here are some simple questions you can start to ponder on. For example, where do I excel? What am I good at? What motivates me the most? And then think about, what do I want to be known for? When you consider this question, please stay true to your heart, because the answer to it will very likely form the base of your personal brand. And also you can ask yourself, how do I leverage things that make me unique? And who knows you internally and externally? In this context, internally would mean at school, because you are studying at school, and externally means outside of a school or whatever community you are closely involved, be it a sports club or workplace, if you have, happen to have a part-time job. And then ask yourself also, what do they know about you? And what would they describe you to the others? Hopefully for the good, for the good reasons. And then what characters have you been complimented on? What are you remembered for? A very simple test I learned from my daughter, who is at her GCSE year now, a very stressful time with all the tests, is that your number of invitations to parties mark your popularity at school, and the times your notes were asked or borrowed before exams indicate how nerdy you are. Well, here nerdy is a very high compliment, but as a teenager, because of the age group, using complimentary word is not cool, which is in itself is a very distinctive personal brand as well. They all want to be cool. So I'm convinced that Google beats me a million times on giving you much more detailed and sophisticated templates or worksheets. And whatever, you can just go and Google on it and then try to find it. There's one LinkedIn lesson that is done by Sade Zara. And she also gives out a lot of handouts, very practical handouts, some ready to use templates so you can download. And I strongly suggest that after this session, and just, prepare something simple and start an audit, because it is important that you want to build something, but you also need to understand where you are today. how you see yourself, how others see yourself, and this will give you a very good foundation to work on the next steps. So as I said, to figure out the qualities and skill sets and competences you want to be known for is only the first step of building your personal branding. The next one is to live through your brand. If you want to build a brand of caring for people, then you need to have actual actions where people can see of caring for others around you. I once interviewed a candidate for a graduate position, very bright, very driven, with jaw-dropping academic grades, young man. He was also very articulate during the interview about his passion of renewable energy and creating a more sustainable world. However, when we were discussing about his hobbies, and he said his biggest interest was flying private jets as pilots, and he has got a flying license. I must say, on a personal level, I was truly impressed with his capability of doing all those things. But because he probably tried to make a good impression of, he's very caring about the environment. But however, when he says his biggest hobby is to fly private jets, and then the two perceptions doesn't resonate very well with how he brand himself as an environmental advocate versus what he actually does. So while focusing on turning your brand into actions, and please don't forget about your pie at the same time. So what is the pie? It's not strawberry pie or apple pie. It's an acronym of performance, image, and exposure. So when we talk about performance, this is a given. This is all about your actions, the work you deliver, and the quality of the delivery against your brand. For example, if you want to brand yourself as an academic elite, then your A-star grades will speak for you. If you would like to be known as a community contributor, then people probably have seen you very active in various campus volunteering events and so on and so forth. When we talk about image, and then during the session, sometimes we will also mention it as a perception in other places. So the image is what is the impression of you. Sometimes you send messages before you speak. What are you recognized for? Do you lead with solutions to issues? Are you known as a problem solver? Are you known as a listener? Or do you take feedback very well? So this is the perceptions and then, people's impressions about you. When it comes to the exposure, it means who knows about you and what you do, or how networked are you outside of your inner circle? Here, the inner circle means direct circle, like your school, your sports club. Do others inside and outside your school know you well? Research have suggested that performance may be even a smaller piece of pie versus perception or image and exposure. Isn't that interesting? Because I think in the traditional way, we always think as long as I do and the people should know you. Unfortunately, it's not the case anymore. Not just you need to do a good job, you also need to know how to really present yourself. That it means unsung hero, that's in the past. Let your good work known by the right people. And to achieve this, you will need to do some good quality networking. So when these pie, the performance, the image, and exposure, the three dimensions are in harmony, people will hold positive assumptions about your intentions, your image. And when they're not in unison, your brand become a bit of a shaky, hence unbelievable. Think about the example I had before with the candidate. He said one thing, but he did something completely different. So now, the last, but probably the biggest question is that, okay, we know why it's important, and then we know what is the elements of personal branding. So how can we build it successfully? And here we can give you some very hands-on tips. To start with, you need to be focused. You cannot be everything to everyone. You cannot make everybody like you. So Focus on what you want your brand to be and on the things that will make the biggest difference in changing the perception so that people start to align their perception of your own image of the brand you want to be. And then networking. Only by looking at its spelling, it's already very clear that networking requires work. It is purposeful and require careful preparation so that when the opportunity shows up, you are able to grasp it. Some simple ways of building up your network could be ask those you know to introduce you to others in order to expand your network. And here I must say, my dear audience, please do not forget your own parents. At this moment, they are probably your best starting point. I have colleagues and friends asking me to help their children either to build their CVs or polish their interview skills. So if you haven't done so, tonight after dinner, have a chat with mom and dad, and then just to understand a little bit better what their jobs are and what their social circles are like. I can guarantee you might get some really positive surprise. Then, knowing the right people is not enough. You should always prepare and use an elevator speech that describes you. The thing is that nowadays everybody moves so fast and nobody has time, which is a pity, but this is a reality. So the essence of an elevator speech is memorable. You need to come up with something that people can remember. People pay attention to actions better than static status. So for example, when you join a virtual meeting with someone you never met before, and you know, as a courtesy, you ask that person, oh, how the weather is like at your side. You presumably they come from different parts of the world. And you have one colleague said that, oh, it's very cold, it's -5 degrees. And then you have another colleague saying that, oh, my nose froze the moment I walked outside. So which one do you think you will remember better, not just at that particular moment, but also sometime afterwards? A simple template you can use could be you use I and then plus what you love to do, then using what kind of skills or qualities to achieve what purpose. So I can give you an example. As a student, when you introduce yourself, a lot of times I heard students say, I'm a student at a ABC school and I like engineering. Or you can say, I love to take things apart and then use the knowledge I have learned at school to explore ways to make them differently and then to make them work more, efficient. So both of the statements are doing introduction. However, the second one, because it brought in a lot of actions and the verbs into it, it painted a much more active and a vivid picture. Networking opportunities can occur anywhere, anytime. Therefore, always be prepared. With every encounter, people are building their perception of you. In 2004, I was working in Ericsson in Nanjing, my hometown. Ericsson is a Swedish telecommunication company. So one day the company received an urgent message instructing us that we should be ready for the visit of President of China. Here, if someone says, oh, the prime minister is visiting, it might not be such a big deal, but I can tell you in China, if the president of the country is visiting you, oh my God, it's like you're having two moons. So we're all geared up and make sure that his visit would be perfect. At that time, the company's president was Swedish, who doesn't speak Chinese. So the plan was that it would be the vice president who do the introduction, because he is a Chinese national. And then just 2 days before the visit actually took place, we received another instruction that, oh, they would like the Swedish president to do the introduction and I will be the interpreter. So the rumor had it that the governor, because I knew him some time ago with some trips, and then he believed in my translation skills. I did a good job. It was a happy ending. However, I didn't do the job because I knew so well on the spot. But as my job was my boss, the president assistant, I had trained myself to be always ready for any last minute changes. So even before they said, okay, we would like you to translate, I had already prepared the background research, asked for the latest business reports, and translated beforehand new terms and words I might need. So not just for the visit, but for every event that might happen. So even though this kind of occasion never happened again, I never got another president of China visit, but that did tell me probably one of the most valuable lessons of life. Always prepared, always prepared. You never know what opportunity might show up. And then, of course, after all those activities you have done, make sure you celebrate your success and tell your story, and also have others tell your story too. You live in a world packed with social media, and social media provides vast opportunities to promote your success stories. I don't know whether you have LinkedIn profile. If you haven't, you can look at it. I don't know about the age restriction, but if you are allowed to have one, you can always create one. You can share your achievements, for example, your scholarship or scientific fair awards or whatever that achievements that you have done, and also have people to share it and like it and through their networks. If you happen to know one or two very important persons and who has gigantic networks, then the impact could be exponential. But I would like to just give you a little bit of words, that is, use social media wisely. You for sure can post whatever you feel like, but also remember this: everything you put on the internet stays there forever, even though you delete it, but it is still there somewhere. Therefore, be really mindful of what you express and how you express it. As a matter of fact, a lot of companies are actually having special resources that monitor online activities. And sometimes we even do candidate background check, including online profile scrutiny if it's needed. So celebrate your story, celebrate your success, but just be a little bit more mindful of what you put out there for everybody to read. And take advantages of almost everyone around you. All those people can help you in different aspects of life. They can inspire you. They can share lessons learned with you so that you do not repeat mistakes. And they can promote you in different platforms. Even those who criticize you might give you great insights on things you can do better, when those who really favor you don't see because they like you so much, or they won't see because they like you so much. So personal branding is a journey. It's not easy. I hope during the session we have given you some simple tools and tips to help you kickstart yours. And then to wrap it up, let's use the thought of those whom we have seen at the beginning of the slides. Kim says she just had enough of people misrepresenting her, so she wants people to get to know her and see who she truly is. And then Elon Musk says brand is just a perception, and perception will match reality over time. Ruth Ginsburg says, so often in life, things that you regard as an impediment turn out to be a great good fortune. And last but not least, Gandhi gave us the advice that if I have the belief that I can do it, I shall surely acquire the capability to do it, even if I may not have it at the beginning. So thank you very much for being present with us. And now I guess I don't know whether we have time for some Q&A.
We have a question, and the question is, how do we prevent people interpreting the wrong idea of our brand?
Well, as I said, you cannot prevent. The only thing you can do, you can't stop what people think of you. And then sometimes, let's not forget, particularly girls at your age, and I have a daughter, but I think about your age, is that, well, to start with, sometimes the environment is not all time friendly. So don't try to prevent anything that comes from other people. Stay true to yourself. You cannot please everybody. So who you want to be, stay true to it, and then do the things that you know that will help you to bring the brand you want to build, not what social media is telling you, not what the TV show star is telling you. It's very important to believe in yourself. And then when people don't like you or they have, misunderstood you, do communication, try to explain. And I noticed that nowadays you like to type very much. And then also a lot of, shortened words. I need to have a dictionary to understand the short messages that my daughter is having with her friends. But still, the old time talking to people in person, because communication 70% is all about your body languages, how you look on your face when you say certain things. The text messages can only pass on the wordy bits of the communication. If you really feel it's necessary to explain the misunderstanding, have a lunch with that person and have an in-person discussion so that you can actually take in whatever that is. If the person truly bears a good intention, I'm very sure 90% of the time the misunderstanding will be solved.
How can we use social media to show our brand? Yeah, use it to your advantage.
As I said, there are different social media. So for example, if you want to build your brand on, say, more business related, and I would say LinkedIn is probably the platform, and where you can see a lot of people. It's not just what you dress or you talk about. A lot of time it's about what kind of post you are sharing or you are liking, and all those things you are doing. That is part of the building your brand. And also you can purposefully, because a lot of people, they try to build a brand and purposefully writing posts that really support their idea. For example, I'm not a great example when it comes to LinkedIn because I probably should have write a little bit more. But if you're passionate about something, you could write your own thought, and then you could write your own research, and then you could write your own activity related to a certain thing that you really want to be associated with, be it engineering, or you want to be a fashion designer. And so write a little bit posts and then try to promote yourself out there through your post, and then retweet, and then those kind of things. When it comes to other social media like Instagram and all, I know a lot of people post pictures. I would say if you want to build an image of say, I want later on to be an event organizer. If none of your pictures is relating to events that you have organized, but everything is just about you sitting in front of your computer, maybe it doesn't really resonate. So always think about, if you purposefully want to build an image, whatever post that you are posting, try to have a link with the image that you want to build.
Do the things that you've done in the past affect your brand?
I think yes, it did. And as I said in the presentation, the reason why Ross asked me today for this was because of all the other things I have done with the STEM activities. And it's because then, I hope it's because, and she saw, my capability of doing this kind of things, but also she saw my passion of helping young people today. Therefore, I personally believe that it helped a lot because of all the things I have done in the past that was leading to the event today. So it did help my personal brand as somebody who is passionate about helping young people. I saw some questions. What if no one likes your brand? How do you get it to be big? Well, to start with, I have to acknowledge I do not know how to be big because I'm not a big social influencer. So on that side, I really can't give you any good advice. On the first part, what if no one likes your brand? As I said before, at this age, because I have children who are going through this, other people's opinion matters the world to you. There's nothing more important than what your peers think of you. I understand, but I just want to give you also another side of the story. You are you. Your life is yours. You cannot make everybody like you, but what you can do is stay true to yourself. Because as we said, the personal brand, one thing is consistency. As long as you consistently be yourself, which is the easiest way, because you can pretend, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You have to remember everything that is not you. So as long as you are consistent, eventually people will like you. I wasn't really popular. I would say I didn't really have many friends because of my personality. I'm not just a big partying. And then later on, I realized it takes some time. Later on, people start to like you because they know what you say is true. You're not pretending. You are not saying things that you don't mean to. So my advice is that I know it's very difficult nowadays if you say, oh, my friends don't, or my classmates or the people at the school don't like you. But try to take that away temporarily out of the equation. Try to focus on yourself. What exactly do I want to be?
I think that's potentially a really good way to finish. And we have a colleague actually from the talent acquisition team who's been joining us this morning, and she's just said, you are you, your life is yours. Stay true to yourself, be consistent and focus on yourself. Because it takes so much energy to try and please other people. And you could, flip from one thing to the next. And actually, I think that energy is probably better spent doing the things that you enjoy and being with the people who make you feel good about yourself. So I think that's a brilliant message.